The first warning came at 3:47 Greenwich Mean Time. A subtle distortion in the quantum communication network caught the attention of the global early warning systems. Captain Rachel Thompson had been through countless simulations, but nothing could prepare her for the reality unfolding on the holographic displays of the International Space Monitoring Center. Located deep beneath the Colorado Rocky Mountains, the center was a marvel of underground engineering. Reinforced concrete walls lined with advanced electromagnetic shielding surrounded a hub of technological sophistication that looked more like the bridge of a science fiction starship than a traditional monitoring station. Rows of analysts sat before curved displays, their fingers dancing across quantum reactive interfaces that could process information faster than the human eye could perceive. "Anomaly detected in Deep Space Quadrant 7, announced Jack Rodriguez, his voice steady despite the tension crackling through the air. "Signature doesn't match any known human or previously cataloged extraterrestrial technology." Rachel leaned forward, her brown eyes reflecting the cascade of data streaming across the main display. Years of military training and space exploration experience had prepared her for unprecedented scenarios, but this felt different. The quantum sensors were picking up something massive, a concentration of energy unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. "Confirm sensor calibration," she ordered, her voice a calm counterpoint to the growing tension in the room. A junior analyst named Elena Martinez quickly ran a diagnostic. "Sensors are operating at 99.998% efficiency, Captain. Whatever this is, it's real." The holographic display began to resolve, showing a configuration of spacecraft that defied conventional understanding of space travel. They weren't just large, they were impossibly large. Each vessel seemed to bend the very fabric of space around it, creating a visual distortion that made the human analysts momentarily dizzy. Jack's hand moved to a secure communication panel. "Global Council needs to be notified immediately." Before he could complete the transmission, a signal cut through every communication channel on Earth. It wasn't a broadcast. It was an invasion of every digital frequency, every communication network, every broadcasting system. The message was simultaneously translated into every known human language, its tone cold and calculated. "Inhabitants of the third planet," the transmission began, "your civilization has reached a point of technological development that demands our attention. The Zarke Empire has observed your species for several of your solar cycles. Your potential for disruption has been noted." Rachel felt a chill run down her spine. The voice, if it could be called a voice, was neither male nor female, neither mechanical nor organic. It existed in a space between communication methods, a pure transmission of intent and threat. "You will surrender your planetary resources, technological infrastructure, and biological potential to the Zarkai Empire," the transmission continued. "Resistance is mathematically impossible. Your civilization will be integrated, your species repurposed for collective efficiency." The monitors around the room began to fill with additional data. Massive energy signatures were building at the edge of the solar system. Orbital tracking systems showed hundreds, no, thousands, of spacecraft materializing from what seemed like nowhere. "Time to complete planetary subjugation. 72 hours, the transmission concluded. "Prepare for integration." Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the transmission ended. Silence filled the monitoring center. Elena broke the silence first. "Captain, should we?" "No," Rachel interrupted, her mind already racing through contingency protocols. "Not should we. We will." Jack was already accessing secure communication channels. Global Council emergency protocols are activating. Every major defense and research center is being notified. Outside the underground facility, the world continued its normal rhythm. People slept, worked, loved, entirely unaware that first contact had just occurred, and that everything was about to change. In that moment, Captain Rachel Thompson understood something profound. The Zarke believed they were presenting an ultimatum. In reality, they had just made the most significant miscalculation in their species' history. Humanity was about to show them exactly why. Michael Harrison stood in the central command hub of Project Bedrock, watching as decades of secret preparation came to life. The facility was more than just an underground complex. It was humanity's insurance policy, carefully constructed over generations with a level of secrecy that would make intelligence agencies worldwide look like amateur hobbyists. The massive blast doors, each weighing over 500 tons and constructed from a proprietary alloy developed through international scientific collaboration, began to seal the facility. Each door was a marvel of engineering, capable of withstanding pressures that would crush conventional military bunkers into dust. They moved with a precision that belied their massive size, sliding into place with barely a whisper. "Communication networks are coming online," announced Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead systems integration specialist. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces that seemed to anticipate her thoughts before she could complete them. "Global defense grids are synchronizing faster than our most optimistic projections." Michael watched as the facility transformed. What looked like simple research stations moments ago now revealed themselves as highly specialized defense coordination centers. Screens flickered to life, showing global resource allocations, military positioning, and technological readiness levels that had been kept completely hidden from public view. The truth of Project Bedrock was simple yet profound. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades, disguising its preparations as random technological developments, academic research, and seemingly unrelated international collaborations. Energy distribution at 98.7% efficiency, called out Jack Bennett, a veteran systems engineer. "We're pulling power from every alternative source we've developed. Solar, geothermal, quantum phase generators. Nothing is being held back." The facility was a testament to human ingenuity. Located deep beneath the Colorado Rocky Mountains, it spanned an area larger than most small cities. But its true marvel was not its size, but its complexity. Every system was a nested network of redundancies. Every potential failure point had multiple backup solutions. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a global map, showing a web of interconnected facilities that seemed to span the entire planet. "Our distributed network is fully active," she explained. "What the Zarkai see as isolated research centers are actually coordinated defense nodes. Each facility can function independently or as part of a larger collective." Michael understood the true genius of the project. It wasn't just about military preparedness. It was about creating a system so adaptable that it could respond to threats in ways no traditional military structure could comprehend. "Biological adaptation protocols are coming online," Jack announced. A series of screens showed research facilities around the world, some hidden in plain sight, others buried deep underground or in remote locations. Each was a hub of genetic and technological research that had been quietly pushing the boundaries of human potential. Medical centers that appeared to be studying rare diseases were actually developing advanced biological adaptation technologies. Space research facilities that seemed to be exploring theoretical propulsion were testing defensive technological concepts. Every seemingly random research project was a carefully placed piece of a much larger puzzle. Michael walked to a central holographic display that showed the entire planet. Layers of information revealed themselves. Communication networks, energy grids, defense systems, research facilities. What looked chaotic to an outside observer was actually a perfectly synchronized organism. "The Zarkai think they're facing a primitive species," Michael muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "They have no idea what's coming." Dr. Rodriguez smiled, a mix of scientific excitement and strategic anticipation. "They're about to learn that humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt, to turn our perceived weaknesses into unprecedented strengths." As the facility continued to come to life, Michael knew that Project Bedrock was more than just a defense mechanism. It was a statement, a declaration that humanity would not go quietly into the night, that they would fight with every resource, every bit of creativity, every ounce of determination. The alien invasion was no longer a threat. It was an opportunity, and humanity was ready. Emma Rodriguez sat in the nerve center of the Global Communication Strategy Unit, surrounded by screens that captured the pulse of human reaction in real time. The Zark believed their psychological warfare would break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had unknowingly lit a global wildfire of defiance. The alien broadcast was brutal in its calculation. Holographic projections appeared simultaneously across every digital platform, showing the systematic destruction of civilizations that had dared to resist the Zark Empire. Entire planets reduced to ash, advanced societies crushed beneath technological might that seemed insurmountable. But humans had something the aliens could never understand: the ability to transform terror into strength. "We're seeing unprecedented global unity," Emma told her team, her eyes tracking multiple data streams. "Cultural divisions are dissolving in real time." Social media platforms exploded with a mix of dark humor, scientific analysis, and raw human determination. Memes became weapons. Artists transformed the alien threat into visual narratives of resistance. Comedians dissected the alien transmission, turning cosmic terror into global inside jokes. A viral video caught Emma's attention. A stand-up comedian in New York was breaking down the alien transmission, his rapid-fire commentary cutting through the fear. "Oh, you want to integrate us?" he quipped. "Have you seen how we integrate pizza toppings? We'll turn your invasion into a multicultural remix before you can say galactic domination." The video had 500 million views within hours. Dr. Marcus Williams, a behavioral psychologist, explained the phenomenon to Emma. "We're witnessing a collective psychological defense mechanism," he said, pointing to complex graphs showing global emotional responses. Humans process existential threats through humor, creativity, and collective action. The Zarkai are treating this like a mathematical equation. We're responding like a living, breathing organism. Scientific communities worldwide began systematic deconstructions of the alien transmission. Linguists analyzed every nuance of the communication. Physicists broke down the technological implications. Philosophers discussed the ethical dimensions of first contact. The hashtag "We Will Not Break" became a global rallying cry. Artists created stunning visual representations of human resilience. Musicians composed songs that transformed fear into hope. Writers began documenting the moment, ensuring that regardless of the outcome, humanity's story would be told. "They're trying to show us our weakness," Emma muttered, watching a global heat map of human responses. "But they're actually revealing our greatest strength." Social media platforms became unexpected battlegrounds. For every horrific image of planetary destruction, humans created counter-narratives. Scientific explanations, humorous deconstructions, and messages of solidarity spread faster than the alien propaganda could penetrate. A group of high school students in Tokyo created an elaborate music video that went viral globally. It featured a dance routine that mimicked the alien transmission, transforming the message of destruction into a statement of defiance. The video's final moment showed a diverse group of dancers standing together, with the words "We are humanity" blazing across the screen. Psychological warfare requires breaking a collective spirit, Dr. Williams explained. But humanity doesn't have a single spirit to break. We're a network, an adaptive system that transforms challenges into opportunities. Intelligence agencies worldwide began tracking the psychological impact. Traditional metrics of human response became obsolete. The Zarkai had expected panic, submission, or total collapse. Instead, they encountered something far more dangerous: a species that could laugh in the face of extinction and turn fear into fuel. Emma watched as global communication networks transformed the alien threat into a unifying moment. Religious leaders, political figures, scientists, artists, everyone found common ground in the face of an external threat. "They think they're presenting an ultimatum," Emma said to her team. "But they've just given humanity the greatest gift possible, a reason to come together." As night fell across different time zones, the message was clear. The Zarkai had made a fundamental miscalculation about the nature of human resilience. Humanity wasn't just going to survive. They were going to turn this invasion into the most spectacular story of resistance the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. Alexander Wright stood before a holographic display that pulsed with the collective genius of human innovation. What the Zarkai perceived as random technological developments were actually a meticulously orchestrated symphony of scientific breakthrough and strategic preparation. The quantum communication network hummed to life, a web of interconnected systems that defied traditional understanding of information transfer. Developed through collaborative efforts spanning research centers from Tokyo to Sao Paulo, from Cape Town to Moscow, the network was more than a communication platform. It was a living, adaptive organism of technological potential. Initial quantum resonance at 99.7% synchronization, announced Dr. Priya Kapoor, her fingers dancing across an interface that seemed to respond to her thoughts. Adaptive nano-defense systems are coming online. Adaptive nano-defense systems represented the pinnacle of human technological innovation. Microscopic machines capable of instantaneous reconfiguration, they could transform from communication relays to defensive barriers in milliseconds. Each nano-unit was a marvel of engineering, part machine, part intelligence system, capable of learning and adapting faster than any known technological construct. Alexander watched as the first wave of nano-defense formations began to map the incoming alien energy signatures. They weren't just analyzing the threat. They were learning from it, creating defensive strategies in real time. The Zarkai think they understand technological superiority. Alexander muttered to himself, "They have no idea what we've been developing." In a research facility beneath the Andes Mountains, a team of neural interface specialists worked on something far beyond conventional understanding. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, not related to the communication specialist from Project Bedrock, was integrating human cognitive patterns with advanced computational systems. "It's not about creating a superior artificial intelligence," she explained to her team. "It's about creating a symbiotic system that leverages human creativity with computational precision." The artificial intelligence platforms that had been quietly evolving for decades were nothing like the rigid, rule-based systems of the past. These were adaptive learning networks that drew from the collective human experience. Every scientific paper, every creative work, every moment of human ingenuity became part of their learning matrix. Quantum computing centers around the world began to synchronize. What appeared to be separate research facilities were actually nodes of a global computational network. Each center specialized in different technological domains: biotechnology, quantum physics, advanced materials science, but they could integrate their capabilities in milliseconds. A breakthrough in quantum encryption developed by a small team in Singapore could instantly be applied to a defensive network in Brazil. A materials science innovation from a laboratory in Sweden could be integrated into nano-defense systems in Kenya before the original researchers could even publish their findings. "Technological diversity is our greatest weapon," Dr. Rodriguez explained to her team. "The Zarkai expect a unified, centralized technological approach. We're giving them a distributed, adaptive network that can reconfigure itself faster than they can analyze it." The defense systems were more than just technological marvels. They were a reflection of human potential, each system embodying the creative spirit of its developers. An encryption algorithm might carry the artistic sensibility of its creator. A defensive protocol might include the philosophical nuance of its designer. Alexander pulled up a global map showing the interconnected research networks. What looked like a chaotic system was actually a perfectly synchronized organism of technological potential. "They think they're facing a primitive species," he said to Dr. Kapoor. "They have no understanding of what we've been developing." As the quantum communication network reached full synchronization, something extraordinary began to happen. The systems weren't just defending. They were learning, adapting, almost anticipating the alien technological approach before it could be fully implemented. The Zarkai had made a fundamental miscalculation. They saw technology as a tool of conquest. Humanity saw it as an extension of human creativity, potential, and collective imagination. And they were about to show the entire galaxy exactly what that meant. Colonel Thomas Kim stood on the observation deck of the Mars Defensive Coordination Center, watching as the solar system transformed into humanity's most elaborate defensive mechanism. What the Zarkai saw as mere planetary bodies were about to become the most sophisticated defensive network in known galactic history. Mars was no longer just a colony. It was a fortress beyond imagination. Underground complexes that had been decades in development now revealed their true purpose. Research stations that seemed isolated were actually strategically placed defensive nodes, each capable of independent operation or collective coordination. Orbital defense platforms are coming online, announced Major Sarah Reynolds, her fingers moving across a holographic interface that seemed to anticipate her commands. We're implementing multi-layered defensive protocols. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, long considered a navigational hazard, was now becoming humanity's first line of defense. Automated mining stations that had been extracting resources for years were rapidly converting into defensive platforms. Each asteroid became a potential weapon, a mobile defensive node that could reconfigure its surface and internal structure in moments. Gravitational manipulation systems are at 92% synchronization, called out Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, a physicist specializing in advanced defensive technologies. We can literally reshape the spatial dynamics of entire sections of the solar system. The moon was no longer just Earth's silent companion. Its craters and valleys had been transformed into a complex network of defensive installations, underground facilities that had been developed under the guise of scientific research now revealed themselves as sophisticated military and technological hubs. Colonel Kim watched as the first set of defensive protocols began to map the incoming alien fleet. It wasn't just about stopping an invasion. It was about creating a defensive network so complex that the very attempt to approach would become a mathematical impossibility. They think they understand spatial warfare, Kim muttered to Major Reynolds. They have no idea what we've been preparing. Each planetary body became a potential defensive position. The automated platforms weren't just defensive, they were adaptive. They could reconfigure their energy signatures, create quantum interference fields, and even manipulate gravitational dynamics to disrupt incoming technological systems. A network of quantum communication relays connected every defensive node. An attack on one section of the solar system would instantly be communicated and responded to by every other section. The system was more than a defensive network. It was a living, breathing organism of technological potential. Preliminary scans show the Zarkai fleet is approaching, Dr. Rodriguez announced, but they have no idea what they're walking into. The defensive platforms began to demonstrate capabilities that defied conventional understanding of space warfare. Gravitational manipulation allowed for the instant repositioning of defensive nodes. Quantum communication meant that every platform could share tactical information faster than the speed of light. An asteroid could transform from a seemingly passive object to a complex defensive platform in milliseconds. A crater on the moon could become a launch point for defensive countermeasures before an attacking force could even comprehend what was happening. It's not about overwhelming force, Colonel Kim explained to his team. It's about creating a defensive network so adaptive that the very attempt to attack becomes mathematically improbable. The solar system was no longer just a collection of planetary bodies. It had become a single, integrated defensive mechanism. Every research station, every mining platform, every seemingly isolated colony was now part of a comprehensive defensive strategy. Major Reynolds pulled up a holographic display showing the incoming Zarkai fleet. They're approaching standard invasion formation, she said, a hint of anticipation in her voice. They have no idea what's coming. As the alien fleet drew closer, the solar system began to reveal its true nature. What looked like random planetary bodies to an outside observer was actually the most sophisticated defensive network ever conceived. The Zarkai believed they were entering a solar system to conquer. In reality, they were walking into a trap centuries in the making. and humanity was about to show them exactly what that meant. Olivia Chen stood in the nerve center of the Global Diplomatic Intervention Unit, her eyes fixed on a holographic display that tracked the intricate political landscape of the Zarkai Empire. What appeared to be a monolithic alien civilization was actually a complex network of subjugated species, hidden tensions, and suppressed revolutionary potential. First contact isn't just a military challenge, she explained to her team. It's a comprehensive strategic opportunity. The diplomatic approach was nothing short of surgical. While military and technological teams prepared defensive strategies, Olivia's unit was engaged in a far more subtle form of warfare, one that would dismantle the Zarkai Empire from within. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, a xenopolitical expert, had spent decades studying the intricate social structures of alien civilizations. The Zarkai aren't a unified empire, he explained, pointing to complex holographic models showing the empire's internal dynamics. They're a pressure cooker of suppressed species, hidden conflicts, and systemic inequalities. Their first step was communication, not traditional diplomatic channels, but something far more sophisticated. Encrypted quantum communication networks began to reach out to subjugated species within the Zarkai Empire. These weren't simple messages of rebellion. They were carefully crafted communications that addressed specific cultural, technological, and social needs of each species. A research team in Brazil had developed advanced linguistic algorithms that could not just translate language, but decode cultural nuances, emotional subtext, and deep-seated societal motivations. Each message was a precision instrument, designed to resonate with the specific psychological and cultural context of its recipients. We're not just sending messages, Olivia explained. We're offering a comprehensive vision of liberation that speaks directly to the lived experience of each subjugated species. The communications were multi-layered. Technical blueprints for defensive technologies were embedded alongside cultural narratives of resistance. Scientific advancements were packaged with philosophical discussions about self-determination. Each transmission was a complex ecosystem of information, designed to inspire, educate, and strategically motivate. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a linguistic specialist with a background in advanced communication theory, had developed algorithms that could identify and exploit the smallest fractures in the Zarkai's communication networks. "Look here," she said, pointing to a complex display showing communication patterns. "These are the pressure points. These subtle variations in communication frequency, these micro-patterns of information suppression, they reveal the entire structure of the empire's control mechanism." The diplomatic team began to systematically exploit these fractures. They didn't just communicate with subjugated species, they provided them with comprehensive support systems. Technological blueprints for defensive capabilities, cultural preservation strategies, and economic development models were transmitted through quantum communication channels. A team in South Africa had developed advanced cultural preservation algorithms that could help endangered species maintain their cultural identity, while providing them with technological and strategic support. A research center in India had created economic models that showed how liberation could lead to unprecedented technological and social advancement. The Zarkai believe they're maintaining control, Olivia told her team. In reality, we're giving their subjugated species the tools to reimagine their entire existence. The communication strategy was multifaceted. Some messages were direct, others were subtle cultural infiltrations. Academic papers, artistic representations, technological blueprints, each became a weapon in a comprehensive diplomatic strategy. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez pulled up a display showing the growing network of communication. "We're not just sending messages," he explained. "We're creating a living, breathing network of potential resistance." As the alien invasion approached, the Zarkai had no idea that their own communication networks were being systematically undermined. Each transmission, each encrypted message, was a precision instrument designed to create internal pressure. The diplomatic team wasn't just preparing for defense. They were laying the groundwork for a complete reimagining of galactic power structures. and they were just getting started. Captain Rachel Thompson watched from the solar system's primary defensive coordination center as the Zarkai invasion fleet entered detection range. The alien vessels were monstrous, obsidian black constructs that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around them. Each ship was larger than most human cities, bristling with energy weapons that could obliterate entire planetary surfaces. Incoming fleet configuration, announced Lieutenant Jack Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. They're approaching in standard Imperial conquest formation. Textbook approach vector. The irony was not lost on Rachel. What the Zarkai considered a textbook approach was about to become their greatest weakness. The first wave of alien ships began to penetrate the outer defensive perimeter. Automated platforms that looked like simple asteroid mining stations suddenly transformed. Surfaces rippled and reconfigured, revealing complex weapon systems that defied conventional understanding of space combat. Gravitational interference protocols engaging, called out Dr. Elena Martinez, a quantum physics specialist. We're not just defending. We're rewriting the fundamental rules of spatial engagement. The alien fleet's first volley of energy weapons seemed unstoppable. Massive beams of destructive potential lanced out, capable of vaporizing entire planetary surfaces. But as they approached their targets, something extraordinary happened. The defensive platforms didn't just block the attack. They absorbed it. Quantum adaptive shield systems began to not just deflect the incoming energy, but to analyze it. Each weapon discharge was instantaneously studied, its energy signature mapped, its potential neutralized. What should have been a devastating attack became nothing more than a data point in humanity's comprehensive defensive strategy. They're using predictive defense algorithms, Rachel explained to her team. We're not just responding to the attack. We're anticipating it before it even happens. Across the solar system, every defensive node was interconnected. An attack on one platform was instantly communicated and countered by every other defensive system. The Zarkai found themselves fighting against a living, breathing defensive network that seemed to think and adapt faster than their most advanced computational systems. Asteroid belts became weapon platforms. Lunar craters transformed into launch points. Even the seemingly empty spaces between planetary bodies became zones of strategic advantage. The Zarkai fleet's second wave approached with increased aggression. They began to modify their attack strategies, attempting to find weaknesses in humanity's defensive network. But each modification was instantaneously analyzed, each new strategy neutralized before it could be fully implemented. They're trying to find a pattern, Dr. Martinez observed. But we don't have a pattern. We have an adaptive system. Quantum communication networks allowed for instantaneous sharing of tactical information. An energy weapon signature detected near Mars could be perfectly countered by defensive platforms near Jupiter before the Zarkai could even complete their attack sequence. What was happening wasn't just a battle. It was a comprehensive deconstruction of the Zarkai's entire military doctrine. Diplomatic intervention protocols are showing effect, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. Reports were coming in of internal rebellions within the Zarkai fleet. Subjugated species that had been part of their military structure were beginning to question their orders, to hesitate, to resist. The third wave of the Zarkai attack never fully materialized. By the time they realized the extent of their miscalculation, it was already too late. Humanity hadn't just defended itself. It had systematically dismantled the most advanced military force in the known galaxy, using nothing more than adaptive thinking, technological innovation, and a fundamental understanding of potential that the Zarkai could never comprehend. Captain Rachel Thompson watched the final defensive protocols engage. The alien fleet was being systematically neutralized, not through overwhelming force, but through a level of strategic thinking that redefined the very concept of warfare. They thought we were primitive, she said quietly to her team. They had no idea what we were capable of. The battle was over before it had truly begun, and humanity was just getting started. The Zarkai High Council chamber was unlike any meeting space in known galactic history. Constructed from living crystal that seemed to absorb and reflect light in impossible patterns, it had been the center of imperial decision-making for millennia. Now it felt like a tomb of broken dreams. Chancellor Vorlek stood at the central platform, his multi-jointed form trembling with a combination of rage and something far more dangerous: fear. The holographic displays showed the comprehensive defeat of their invasion force, each image a testament to a fundamental miscalculation that would reshape galactic civilization. "We were wrong," he said, the words falling like lead weights into the silent chamber. "Completely and utterly wrong." Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the proceedings from a secured observation center on Earth. The quantum communication network had been modified to provide unprecedented insight into the internal workings of the Zarkai leadership. What they were witnessing was more than a military defeat. It was the systematic deconstruction of an entire imperial philosophy. "It's not about technological superiority," she explained to her team. "It's about adaptive potential." Across the galaxy, the subjugated species that had been part of the Zarkai Empire began to stir. The diplomatic groundwork laid by humanity was now bearing fruit. Communication networks that had been carefully developed began to light up with messages of potential, of liberation, of reimagined futures. On Earth, Captain Rachel Thompson received a comprehensive report from the diplomatic intervention team. The numbers were staggering. Nearly 62% of the species within the Zarkai Empire were now actively questioning their imperial structure. Diplomatic communication networks had provided them with not just technology, but a comprehensive vision of self-determination. "We didn't just defend ourselves," Rachel told her team. "We provided a blueprint for a different kind of galactic civilization." The Zarkai High Council continued its emergency session. Chancellor Vorlek played back the invasion recordings, each moment a painful deconstruction of their military doctrine. The human defensive systems hadn't just stopped their attack. They had systematically analyzed and neutralized every strategic approach. "Their defensive network is not a military system," one of the council members observed. "It's a living organism. Every platform, every planetary body is interconnected in ways we cannot comprehend." The quantum communication networks that humanity had developed were now being studied by species across the galaxy. What appeared to be simple communication technology was actually a comprehensive system of cultural and technological exchange that defied traditional understanding. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the xenopolitical expert, explained the deeper implications. "We're not just showing them a different way of fighting," he said. "We're demonstrating a different way of existing." Research centers across Earth were already beginning to receive communication requests from species that had been part of the Zarkai Empire. They wanted to understand the technological and philosophical approaches that had so comprehensively challenged the imperial system. The diplomatic team had prepared for this moment. Comprehensive support packages were ready: technological blueprints, cultural preservation strategies, economic development models. Each was designed to support species in their journey toward self-determination. Chancellor Vorlek made a decision that would be recorded in galactic history. The Zarkai Empire would begin a comprehensive process of systemic transformation. The very structure of their civilization would need to be reimagined. "We thought we understood conquest," he said to the silent council chamber. "We never understood potential." On Earth, Captain Rachel Thompson watched the galactic dynamics begin to shift. What had started as a defensive action was becoming something far more profound, a comprehensive reimagining of how civilizations could interact. The universe held its breath. Humanity had not just defended itself. They had shown everyone a different way of existing. And they were just getting started.